Good morning. Hello, friends of SKELE, and welcome to the very first episode of Weekly Weirdo, where I'm going to take figures from my collection and talk about them, share memories of them, share my affection for those figures. We've got Ozstradamus Toys here in the chat. Good morning, Oz. Rise and shine, SKELE Vaderites, favorite new term. Thank you to Giraffe for coming up with that, SKELE Vaderite. First things first, I want to say thank you so much to Thanos Copter, Gonga, HP Brown Sauce Craft, and many others that came to the show, the art show on Thursday night, this past Thursday night, and this past Saturday afternoon. The art show was spectacular. It was, a lot of people showed up. It was a lot of fun. Hey, we got, okay, look at, we got, not only do we have Oz in the chat, we have JMac77 in the chat, and we have Ronald Embry in the chat. So good morning, everybody. Everybody have your coffees? All right, so there's a reason. Oh, thank you. Let's see here. So happy and excited for you, SKELE. That art show must have been awesome. Yeah, so the art show, it was a lot of work, but because I had worked on those models, you know, starting in 2019, those were pretty much good to go. I just had to organize with Pedro to get permission and to bring those, bring the Snake Mountain over to the gallery. And you know, I wanted to finish up the Fright Zone for him too, and have it look good as well. So yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun, and we had a blast. All right. So, and good morning, Duchess. Yeah, good to see you here. Oz, yeah, Oz saying good morning to everybody. So as you can see back here, the 5 painted portraits of the 5 main baddies were in the show. They did not sell, but I'm really excited to share that I came up with a deal with James, who actually, he showed up in our last one of our last streams, and he won the $1 from us. He's a local guy too. That worked out well. We made a deal. He's going to trade these 5 paintings for 2 display cases. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you, James. We got Vintage MOTU here. Good morning. All right, and Nolan's here too. Great. Yeah, so cheers, everybody. Cheers. Are you all anxious to see what I chose for my weekly weirdo this week? I'm excited to share him. So I do want to say a few things. Big thank you to patrons, Gamerbudd, MotuOriginsCork, and Brick Something. Every little bit that you all contribute to the SKELE channel really counts. Thank you so much. It helps me continue doing this. Now, let me give you a little history of the reason why I am doing the weekly weirdo episodes. So every Sunday, sometimes it might be every other Sunday, depending on family schedules and stuff like that, I'm going to come on and I'm going to show a figure that is currently in my collection. Every once in a while, it will be a new figure. But those moments are going to be few and far between. I'm really cutting down on my my collecting of new releases, and I've got a few on a couple that I pre-ordered back toward the end of 2022 that are on their way, and I'm excited about 2 more that are coming out, and I'm very excited about the Origins Snake Mountain. But other than that, I'm trimming down my new toy collecting quite a bit. which this relates very closely to our previous Toy Frenzy episode, which was where we were talking about, curating or honing our collections. And so that's what I'm currently doing. I want to make sure that my collection is not just things that I feel like, ooh, I gotta get that right now. It's something that I see on the shelf and I need it, and then I kind of like get buyer's remorse a little bit later on. I'm going to try and be very careful with that. I want my collection to be predominantly toys that give me a substantial amount of joy. So the first one I'm going to start off with for this week, for the very first episode of Weekly Weirdo. I got to start with Masters of the Universe because for those of you that watch the channel, you know that's what's closest to my heart. It's like Masters of the Universe, Star Wars, Universal Monsters, and then a smattering of other weirdos. So the first figure that I chose to talk about today is one that I got from Classics. This came out in 2014, before Super 7 took over the Classics line. However, I got him much later on, and I bought him used. And the person I bought him from on eBay must have been a smoker. For a long time, he smelled like cigarette smoke, but he doesn't anymore, thank goodness. But I got this guy for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm a huge fan of Skeletor, as you all know. I'm also a huge fan of Darth Vader. And one of the appealing factors of the New Adventures Skeletor was that he was mechanical in a way. It's almost as if they're like, well, let's make him a kind of cyborg for New Adventures, and there's a whole story behind that. But as far as action figures go, New Adventures Skeletor is the closest thing to a SKELE Vader action figure that was actually released to people to buy, because he's mechanical and he's Skeletor. For those of you that collect, I know vintage MOTU, I know you collect the vintage New Adventures figures. I finally got my New Adventures Skeletor, though he's incomplete. The Classics version of the New Adventures Skeletor is one of my favorite versions of Skeletor ever released. He is bulky. He's definitely, they're really focusing in on the H.R. Geiger influence of the design of this Skeletor. You can see in the helmet. If you don't know who H.R. Geiger is, he was the artist who designed the first Alien, he was the art designer for that film. And his organic and mechanical artwork is what signifies him as an important artist. Let's see here. Yeah, so JMax says Phantom Starkiller is also kind of a Skele and Vader hybrid option. Absolutely. When I discovered Phantom Starkiller, I was stoked. I got myself a Super 7 reaction version of him. I know there are several of them. I picked the one that I liked the most. And I also bought a large format comic book of that as well. I've purchased a few other comics since then too. But yeah, Phantom Starkiller is super rad. And if anybody of you know about Phantom Starkiller, he started off as a custom action figure, and then he's since grown into a whole series of comics. Super 7 released his action figure through Reaction, and definitely he hones in on that biomechanical aesthetic that Oz is pointing out here. I dig the biomechanical aesthetic too. What I want to talk about is one of the biggest problems with for those of us that were fans of Masters of the Universe when the Filmation cartoon came out. Um, we fell in love with that design. Perhaps like me, I fell in love with the design of the original action figure. I always wanted to see a version of that action figure in animation form. And I kind of lost interest in Masters of the Universe by the time New Adventures came out. Not that I lost interest in Masters of the Universe per se, but I wasn't collecting toys and I wasn't watching the cartoon anymore. I was going through normal physiological changes that people go through, and I wasn't as interested in cartoons anymore. But when this cartoon came out, I definitely saw the action figures on the shelves and I just sort of walked right past them. Wasn't that interested. I was like, that doesn't look like my Masters of the Universe. I tried to watch a couple of the cartoons. I was like, it's way too silly. And I still feel like the design of Skeletor in the cartoon is totally ridiculous and silly. But how do you take those design elements and combine them with sort of a more realistic approach to design and create an action figure from that is menacing? And I feel like this intergalactic overlord of evil, the space mutant Skeletor that Classics came out with in 2014, is spectacular because of that. He is dangerous looking. He's the organic, the biomechanical aspect of him is a little bit terrifying. If you look closely at his face, the skull, you can see the skull design is in part influenced by the goopiness of the 1987 movie Skeletor, Frank Langella, but also there's some of the Alcala design elements in here with the teeth, the wide mouth, but he's terrifying. That's the only way to really deal with. Either you go super cheesy and you embrace the cheesiness of New Adventures Skeletor, or you take those elements into a little bit of you add a little bit of reality to those elements and make them scarier. So I absolutely love this figure. I'm super excited to have him as part of the collection. My new adventures, almost said New Eternia, my new adventures Skeletor is incomplete. And I'll probably talk about him later on if I can ever get his additional accessories. This is his Havoc staff. I love this thing. It's just crazy. This thing is crazy. We've got this blade at the end. Ostradamus toys. Oz, you know the terms for all these things. I'm sure there's a term for that kind of a blade. But yeah, I love everything about this guy. A lot of people complained about the bulkiness of his chest because it is you can remove this armor, which doesn't quite make sense. They should have just created a new mold for the buck. But I kind of love the bulkiness because the vintage action figure, he was fairly, thin compared to vintage Skeletor from the original line. So the bulkiness of this is intimidating. The biomechanical aspects of him are fantastic. He's a little gross. He's definitely on the scarier side. I love all the details on this guy. If you look very carefully, you can see he's got that, skull design on his chest, but at first glance, you might just see it as sort of an homage to the Darth Vader mechanical chest piece. And so, yeah, Phantom Star Killer, definitely inspired by this guy in some way. And I still feel like this guy comes as close to having a Skelevator action figure that I have in my collection. Gamerbudd, if you're watching this later on, Gamerbudd went ahead and made a Skelevator action figure, or custom made a Skelevator action figure, which is really cool. And I should probably share pictures of that at some point. Maybe we'll do that on Toy Frenzy when we do our next viewer showcase episode. But that's it for my weekly weirdo. Okay, here we go. I knew Oz would come through on this. Different names in different parts of the world: glaive, spear, Naginata, Guandao, Waldo, Sovnia. So we'll call this glaive, or I don't know. I like Sovnia. That's pretty cool. It's a good name. You're talking primarily just about this, I think, this aspect of it, this end of the Havoc staff. But yeah, thank you, Oz. For those of you that are watching, I want to thank you so much. I'm going to do this, like I said, I'm going to do the weekly weirdo once every couple of weeks, maybe once a week, if I'm feeling excited. Yes, that's the Russian name, Sovnia. Sounds like it. Yeah. And I'm excited. I'm excited to go through the collection of toys that I've accrued over the years, and really focus in on my relationship to them and why they're an important part of my collection, and share that with those of you that watch the Skelevator channel. Over the last couple of weeks, there's been about 15 new subscribers to the channel, which has taken me above 900. I'm at 908 right now, which is really awesome. I'm sure my Fright Zone build helped with that. Those are the most popular videos on my channel, my build videos. I'm preparing for another art show. I might show videos of me preparing for that art show, which is non-pop culture influence. So there's no Masters of the Universe. They are oil paintings similar to the one behind me. So I might show some videos of that. So I hope that is of interest to you all. Oh, thank you, Oz. Oz, you really, Oz and Bobby being part of the Toy Frenzy episodes has really helped expand the universe of the Skelevator channel. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been an exciting time for the channel. Later on today, I'm going to post a fairly unedited version of a walkthrough of my exhibit. It's about a 10-minute video, and it'll just be visual of the show. I went in a little bit early before the reception yesterday and videoed and shot it on my camera, a walkthrough without any people in the gallery. So you should get a fairly nice experience of what the exhibit looked like. I was really impressed by the works that Tim, he called himself Nostalgia for the Show, produced for the exhibit, which were ink paintings on glass of Wolverine. Plus he included his extensive Wolverine comic book collection. And so, yeah, you'll see that later on this afternoon. Really appreciate you all. Thank you to my patrons, Gamerbudd, MotuOriginsCork, and Brick Something. And thanks to Duchess, Bobby, Nolan, Jay, Oz, of course, Ronald Embry, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for joining me on a nice Sunday morning with your coffee. Hopefully some of you are having your cereal. And I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. And by the time we talk next, hopefully my slight congestion will be totally gone. So I feel normal talking to you all. It still feels like I'm pushing through something here. But I'm feeling a lot better. Thanks, Bobby. All right, everybody, have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much. I hope the weather is okay in your part of the world right now. It's raining off and on. Thank you, Nolan. Good to see you. And I know that other people are experiencing a lot of this crazy weather right now. So stay safe. Stay warm and take care of yourselves. Enjoy your morning, and thanks so much for being here. And I'll definitely see you in the next Skele